Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Soul Tribe Podcast, everyone. This is going to be a solo episode with me, Lorena, and we're going to talk all about the October 14th solar eclipse. And I think it'll be very much about the eclipse, but I think I am a little bit going to talk about just eclipse energy in general. So I'll touch on some of that, but each eclipse is very unique. And they usually are about really letting go of something and transformation. That's what eclipses are about. Anyway, before I go into the episode itself, I wanted to just make sure that you guys were all aware that we are doing bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks we'll have a new episode instead of every week. We're just trying to figure out our schedules with Lucia, and a lot of these episodes for the time being may be just solo episodes. And I think it's also giving us like a really good chance to bring forward information and energy that we're really interested in and being able to talk about it personally. And then once we get ourselves a little bit more settled, we'll be able to, do these joint episodes. Those will come very soon. But I just wanted to say that because maybe some of you were surprised if you didn't see the social media post that, there was no episode last week. So we were like, okay, I better say something here. Also, before we move forward, we have a really big sale on our Akashic Record reading courses. So it's Akashic Record reading level 1, level 2, and soul contracts in the Akashic Records. So I will make sure I put those links in the show notes. Make sure you take advantage of the sale. It's up until the 31st of October. You get 25% off. And those courses, you have access to them 24/7. And you can do them at your own pace. They're all videos and manuals, and you get access to our private Facebook group and also to contact us with questions. And basically you learn to read your own records with level 1, you read other people with level 2, and then the soul contracts course is really cool. It really helps you understand soul contracts, especially if you're doing readings for yourself or for others. It's a really good complement to any of those level 1 or level 2. And this is the biggest sale we've done up to this point. So if you are interested in the Akashic Records, I would highly recommend you checking them out. So I'll put the links there. You'll need to use the discount code on checkout. So the discount code will be on the link that I send you. Just make sure to input that in checkout because that will give you the 25% off. Other than that, obviously, as always, we do readings. So if you guys are interested in Akashic Record readings, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact forms are on our show notes every week. Okay, so let's talk about the solar eclipse happening on October 14th, 2023. This is going to be energetically one of the most important, I would say one of the biggest things to happen this year. And it's a good thing, right? I think sometimes people get really freaked out with eclipses, but the idea is that we can really move into this eclipse energy, and obviously we're going to feel it before and after. There's always that aspect of astrology that I think a lot of us say, it starts on this day. No. Always think of the energy already starting to creep in days or even a week before. So there's always going to be some indicators that are showing us. Like even if you think about like Mercury being in retrograde, we're already feeling that energy a couple days before that even happens. So the idea with the eclipse energy is that we can really open our hearts, feel open to this energy, really go inward, not resist anything that really comes our way during this time. And there's actually two eclipses. There's another eclipse on the 28th, but I'm not going to go into that today. I will probably do another episode, or maybe I'll talk about that on the Patreon, on the community. But the idea is not to resist. The eclipse is here. Eclipses are usually here to help us, right? I'm saying usually, no, they are here to help us see and connect with something. So the more we resist, the more that thing will keep happening. And it'll probably, especially during the eclipse, it may happen in an even bigger way. Eclipses are all, like I said earlier, right? They're all about helping us move into something new, to create change, transformation. Eclipse energy, I love eclipse energy. I mean, I have my rising in Scorpio. I'm all about transformation. I'm all about moving through emotions. So I love the eclipse energy. And I hope I can explain kind of this energy that's coming in. So eclipses are all about change, shifting, transformation. A lot of times we can look at our lives as like a before and after an eclipse and I look back on my life and I can definitely see that. But eclipses are really here to help us see something, right? Because it's like this energy of imagine that there's something that's in our life and we're not really seeing it with clarity. An eclipse will show that to us. So it's time to really see something, for us to become more intimate with it, to really observe it from our inner world. And many times an eclipse is really here to help us close a door and move in a new direction, to transform, to change, to leave something behind. It's helping us move away from things, situations, people, dynamics, circumstances, patterns that need to be done, closed off, finished. It's over, right? But we need to make sure we're not in that resistant energy, because if we are, we're probably not going to see it. We're probably not going to want to face it. But the eclipse itself helps us finalize something, right? And to move forward in another direction, transform. Like I was saying, a lot of times it's something that's already happening in our life and has been happening for some time, but we may not be seeing it, or some of us may be seeing it, but we're just not ready to let it go. But this eclipse energy, in general, the eclipse energy, but I want to talk mostly about what's happening on the 14th. It helps us really come to that awareness, to be able to realize what's happening so that we can make that decision from a really conscious place, right? Closing a cycle. I mean, if we think of eclipses in general, we're thinking about closing cycles, finishing things, closing doors. The eclipse energy helps us. It's like, it's a window of time that we can use to really leave something behind. It is about going in, and when I say going in, I mean like being with yourself and your feelings, right? Because that is the only way we can really bring awareness to what's going on in our life, what we're actually feeling, and for us to get the alignment and clarity to be able to say, "Ooh, this isn't working," or "Oh my gosh, no, I don't want this in my life anymore." And I know now at this point that I need to break free of this. I need to let go of this. It's so funny, though, without even really going too much personally into what the eclipse energy that was coming in. I knew there was an eclipse coming in, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. And at the end of September, in the community, I talked all about letting go. And this is a lot of the energy, and I felt it going into October big time, but it didn't click for me, really, if I think about it. But the eclipse is going to help us release and let go. So now, like, looking back, I'm like, wow, that was really cool that I had that message come in through the Akashic Records without me even realizing that it was probably the eclipse I was talking about, really. So I always like to look at healing as layers. So we don't all deal with things all at once, right? And I say that to the people I work with, my clients, to people that come to me for readings. We can't deal with everything and heal everything all at once. Our basically our nervous system, our emotional body can't deal with all of that, right? So it's all about being able to look at this as maybe a layer that we're healing, something that we've been dealing with that we need to let go of. And obviously, I don't know if I didn't say this, but the solar eclipse is in Libra. So if any of you are familiar with astrology, Libra is all about relationships, friends, people, the collective. But more importantly, I personally like to look at it as the relationship with ourselves, right? And the collective. So I'll go into that as well, because I mean, today I'm recording this on Sunday, the day before this episode comes out. So Sunday, October 8th, and we're already seeing things in the news that to me are very eclipse energy, very much eclipse energy. So even though this eclipse is about going in during the time, right? This is very much about the relationship. So things will probably be manifested in relationships that we have, or in people around us, or things that come in twos, right? So in general terms, it is about letting go. So if we kind of pair these together, we're understanding that there's probably something going to show up in the relationship sense, right? And obviously this will affect people very differently, because obviously we all have different natal charts, and the eclipse will show up in different areas, right? So I can only speak from a general standpoint, right? And obviously I always recommend people get your natal chart read, understand, because it's literally like a mirror to your soul, especially when we talk about humanistic or psychological astrology, which is the astrology that I study, that I love. Like, I can't get enough of it, right? So in the astrology sense, one of the people that I look up to explained it this way, and I thought it was really beautiful. During a solar eclipse, it's the sun is blocked, right? It's eclipsed. It's hiding something. And the sun, in astrology, our sun sign, the sun, is our self, our higher self. So it's like this very interesting energy that it brings in, of blocking our consciousness, which is how we show up, right? Our sun, which helps bring in our unconscious during the eclipse. So this is where things can get really crazy during an eclipse, and where we have to really go inward, because otherwise we're going to be reacting, triggered, things are going to happen, right? And for a lot of us, things can show up in really big ways, obviously, like I said, depending on our natal chart. So things can show up, especially we're talking about Libra in this case, right? Family, our ancestors, patterns, the past, our belief systems, things that really are really anchored to ourselves. And this can feel like pretty overwhelming for some. But if we cannot resist it, if we can stay really in this energy with ourselves, get the support that we need, but really go inward, it can feel, for some people, eclipses, depending on the eclipse and wherever it falls for them, can feel really emotionally intense. Some eclipses can be really big, and this is big energy coming in, and I think we all need this. So it's a lot of unconscious things coming up. Emotions can be all over the place, right? And it's not a time to repress them. It's a time to bring them up, to be able to move through them, heal them, and let them go. It's very much, I always feel like the eclipse energy is like this Scorpio energy. It's like this death and rebirth energy. And I love it because I really resonate with that. And I always say people can transform, people can change. And this eclipse is helping us do that. So main advice here, don't resist what's coming up. Don't let the emotions overtake you. Be able to center yourself with tools, rituals, routines, and make sure you're constantly going in to be able to observe and feel and connect with those emotions, so that we don't allow those to overtake us, and really just not allow us to actually learn what we need to during this time. This is why going in during eclipses in general is all about journaling, meditating, breath work. You can go walk and be in a kind of very inner space and listen to nice music and observe your feelings. We have to really be in this receptive mode with ourselves, because even though this is about relationships, it's about how we're reacting to it and what we're doing with what's coming up. And we need to start processing so that change can come, so transformation can come. And this is all beautiful energy, right? So for me, what I've kind of made this, I had to start thinking really about what I'm going to do during the eclipse. I want to be really intentional. So I'm definitely going to be doing breath work and journaling and just being a little bit more present, like in my evening routine, being just a little bit more present than I normally am and taking more time for myself, because I'm already feeling this eclipse, I'll be honest. And it's the 8th. So the idea here is that we don't let external things really break us or pull us down or take us away from ourselves. A lot of this energy will feel like, if we go into that pattern, we're going to find ourselves literally reacting emotionally to things. And then we're going to look back and we'll be like, whoa, what was that? That was so out of character, or that's not what I normally do. And remember, there's another eclipse at the end of October, but this eclipse energy will be present until, from what I understand and what I've looked up, it's until the end of November. So we have quite a lot of time here to prioritize ourselves. And this makes sense because I kept feeling this when I was channeling for the community. I was getting all this information as well of like really figuring out what it is we need to let go of before the year ends, because we're still holding on to a lot of baggage, a lot of us, and a lot of things that aren't serving us and aren't weighing us down, especially in the relationship or emotional sense. So obviously, as the time goes by, it's not as intense, the eclipse, right? But it is an opportunity to keep growing and observing ourselves and being able to connect with these emotions and transform. That is literally how you transform, right? It's not resisting what's coming up. But the more we can be in awareness and connected to ourselves and reflective internally, the more this eclipse will really benefit us, right? So we were saying the eclipse is in Libra. So this means that the Libra energy is blocked or eclipsed, right? And when we think of Libra, a lot of us think about balance. If you look at the kind of like the symbol for Libra, it's about peace and harmony. I have quite a lot of Libra in my chart, so I really resonate with this Libra energy. And it's like this energy of, like, when I look at it within myself, it's like of the mediator, of understanding both sides, of being able to find middle ground. And this energy that I'm talking about, this Libra energy, is going to be eclipsed during this solar eclipse. So this is going to bring up the opposite of that. So it's going to be imbalance, chaos, and in general, it's like feelings will be off balance. It's like you won't be able to find your balance, right? So with more consciousness and awareness, we don't have to play into that, but it is all showing us something. So we may feel at moments that we might be pulled into that, but the idea is to always come back, because a lot of things will feel chaotic, maybe even unfair or out of control, and we'll feel like we can't juggle everything, right? So there'll be a bit of that energy, quite a bit of that energy actually, for some of us. And the idea is that we don't let that suck us in, right? It's like, how do we just bring it always back to ourselves and understand that if this is playing out here, for example, I'm seeing the chaos in this aspect of this relationship, or this, it could be my relationship with work, for example. And all of a sudden it feels so out of control and all over the place. It's showing me something. I'm not going to play into that energy, but I'm going to start to observe it and bring it in and understand what I need to change for it to become a better relationship. Do I need to put up more boundaries? Do I need to speak up? Do I need to change my job? Do I need to leave this job? Like, depends, right? But the main thing here is relationships, connections, partnerships, friendships, because Libra is all about connection and relationships. And if we think about a healthy Libra energy, because we can go on both sides, both spectrums of Libra and any sign, right? It's all about equality and balance and like respect, I suppose, right? And a lot of that will feel off during this time. But remember, it is a time it is a time now to start seeing where we need to let go of things. So a lot of things will come up in the relationship sense. And it's not about like everybody, oh my God, all these relationships need to end. No, it's just something needs to change, right? Because if something isn't working and all of a sudden the eclipse energy is showing it really in your face, it could just feel more intense, right? Then you realize that something needs to give, something needs to change, and maybe that's because there's something that you need to do, or it could be that you need to let go. Something needs to transform. Things can't stay the way that they are. And the way that it will be shown to us is with intensity, right? Things will feel thrown off. We're going to start observing and being triggered by things in specific relationships or with people. The triggers will come up, we'll feel them. That's the intensity, right? And we'll start to be able to see what isn't working or what needs to change and what we need to face. And really with ourselves as well, because a lot of these things with relationships isn't just about the other person, right? It's about how we're showing up for it, or where we haven't put up a boundary, or where we haven't said something, or how we're actually interacting with the person. And about the balance within all of that, right? Of how much am I giving? How much am I receiving? All of that, right? And I think a really good question that we can ask ourselves here, and it's something I kind of thought about, where am I not speaking up or saying what I need to in order to not cause conflict or issues with somebody else? Because I think a lot of this relationship stuff that could come up is our own boundaries and balance. Just something that kind of came up that I think that could be interesting to think about. And I think all of this can come up from our own observation, right? Because whatever's outside of us is really a reflection of what's already going in, or we might already be feeling, and the eclipse will show it to us in a bigger way, which is a gift in itself, because then we can really see what's happening. But we can't get sucked into that. So if we're already being triggered constantly by a specific dynamic or person, I don't play into that trigger. I bring that to myself. I feel it. I understand what's actually going on here. And is there something I'm not saying? Is there something I'm not a boundary I'm not putting up? Is this conflict, issue, dynamic with this person? Is it because I'm trying to keep the peace? Is it because I'm trying to make sure things don't get out of hand, and then all of a sudden the eclipse comes in, everything feels out of whack and out of place, and all of a sudden you're realizing that you're in that dynamic, for example, right? So we have to also, I think this Libra energy, which I very, very much, resonate with this mediator, with not, I've said this on the podcast a lot, of like not stirring the pot, of not really making things worse or making people feel worse. And it's a lot about us going inward and realizing where we're playing that role of keeping the peace, right? Of we need to move away from that energy, because then it's constantly about making others happy. So that's the relationship to ourselves. Like, what do we need to see within ourselves, right? And what are our true desires? What is it that we want to do with our lives? Because I think that the eclipses can bring huge shifts in that sense. Really sit with that energy after you listen to this episode, because I think it could be really beautiful for us to use this opportunity, this energy that's coming in, to really shift and change. And I think a lot of this energy is also relationship to ourself, right? Is about where are we not being truly aligned and focused and true to ourselves. And we have to come to that awareness, right? And it could be little aspects of our life or big aspects, right? Obviously, if anybody's kind of in the loop with the news, some things have come up in the news. I'm not really going to talk about them here, but I'm sending love and light to everybody involved, and we're going to see a lot of this energy globally, collectively, where there's going to be conflict with relationships. It could be countries, it can be companies, organizations. Eclipse energy brings that up as well. So, yeah, I also would like to say that that's uncomfortable. It's not nice to see, but it's showing us something for sure. we may unfortunately hear more of this in the news. But sending love and light and healing and hope, and hoping that a lot of this doesn't have to manifest. But we all know that collectively there's a lot going on and has been going on. So I'm going to wrap up this episode by saying that I would like everybody to kind of connect with this eclipse energy as an energy of transformation and change. Seeing it as that and not letting anything that can come outside of you push you off that kind of energy, right? We're going to be triggered. We're going to feel things. Things are going to come up. And this is where going inward is going to be really, really important. So it's all about shedding and letting go of, like we said, it could be relationships, it could be situations, it could be dynamics, it could be patterns, it could be beliefs. Anything that is not working, it's not balanced, and is not helping us find this true connection is out, right? And the idea is that we can use this energy to help us move out of those things. And for it to allow to bring in new things, right? Beautiful, new, energetically aligned things, which could be relationships, it could be situations, circumstances. But also, I always like to bring this always to ourselves. Like, how can we start using some of this energy to be like, all right, what do I need to work within myself to be able to attract those things to come in? This eclipse will definitely show us what is not working. Where there's an imbalance of anything from giving, receiving, to what doesn't feel aligned with us, where we're giving too much of our energy, what just doesn't work anymore, where we need to find the balance. That's Libra energy, right? So don't resist it. I know it can feel like an uncomfortable time during eclipses, but they are such a huge window and opportunity for transformation and change. And, lean on each other during this time. I think it is a lot about going inward, but also maybe there are those connections that you aren't really leaning on that you can during this time, that you can find the support, the connection, and the love and the kindness from. And obviously we have a community, so if you want to join us there, feel free to join us. We'll put all those links below. But I'm excited for this eclipse, guys. I think eclipses are so amazing. They're hard, but they're such a great opportunity. And I like to look at astrology as that they're like opportunities, windows of time to really go inward. So I hope this information's helped. I know I put in kind of a lot of general information about eclipses because I think there is like a lot of there's a lot of different information about eclipses, but this is how I understand it, and this is kind of how I like to look at it. So I hope that helps any of you who go through this eclipse starting on the 14th of October. And if you guys have any feedback or anything that you want to share with me, please feel free to reach out. And I'm sending you all a big hug, and I'm hoping you all have a great week or month ahead. And in 2 weeks, we'll come back with another episode. And in the meantime, feel free to listen back to any old episodes that we have, or to join us in our community where we have also more content. Sending you guys all a big hug. Take care of yourselves, center yourselves, and see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.